Brother Wilson, it's Haley, and I'm going to be teaching your son Brigham how to bake cookies. It'll be his choice about whether he wants to make chocolate chip cookies or snickerdoodles, give him a little sense of will to power. I think I can better communicate the concept of science, which is one of the things you can learn with baking cookies, or just baking in general. But if he chooses snickerdoodles, that's fine too. We can just talk about how the ingredients will work together to form what we're going to make. There are many other things you can learn with baking cookies. You can learn math by measuring the recipe out just right and talking about how it'll all come together. And it can also kind of make you see how many the recipe will make. You can learn sanitation and the importance of washing your hands before you even get started baking anything or cooking anything. You can learn organization by getting out all of the ingredients that you need to use before you even get started. You can learn how to be kitchen safe by, if you're taking something out of a hot oven, by using oven mitts and by using good communication skills to make sure no one else gets hurt that could be with you in the kitchen, and how to clean up after you're done making the mess. So my ultimate goal for this recipe, or for this lesson, is for him to be able to read the recipe and replicate it. I'm definitely going to make sure I can look out for if reading the recipe and replicating it is inside of his zone of proximal development. And if it is, then I can help him to understand what the recipe is saying and see if he can replicate verbal instructions instead. According to Piaget's cognitive development stages, he should be able to, by now, possibly cut the recipe in half by doing some simple subtraction, and learn how to conserve ingredients and see, like, maybe even how to save money by doing that. According to Erikson's social stages, if he succeeds in doing this during this industry or inferiority stage, he should be able to gain some self-confidence if he's successful in this task, which he should, because it's a pretty easy one, especially if someone's there to help him. I definitely want to do some assessment or some pre-assessment before we even get started before we even turn on the oven. I want to run him through a few simulations to see if he knows how to take something out of the oven very safe with oven mitts, and especially if that has like something on it, like the cookies. Make sure he knows how to bring it over to a counter or a table very safely. Make sure that nothing's touching the very hot pan, and make sure it's out of the way so that people don't accidentally touch it and get themselves hurt. And by communicating to anyone in the kitchen that he has something hot so that he doesn't hurt anybody or himself. So yeah, that should take care of that. I'm definitely going to look for some cueing within Brigham. And I'm definitely going to cue him with, like, what do you do next? And, pointing at the bowl or pointing at the butter or anything else. But I'm definitely going to look at the cueing from him to see if anything could possibly be within his zone of proximal development. Something that might come up could be maybe cracking an egg. And just to make sure that we don't get any shell in the recipe, we're definitely going to crack the egg into a separate bowl before we add it to the recipe. That's very important, just to make sure that while you're still getting the hang of it and getting the myelination process started and entering the process of cracking an egg into a recipe, into your schema, make sure that it's cracked into a bowl. Make sure that something you don't want getting into the recipe does not get into the recipe. And doing this can also cause you to check to see if any of your ingredients have gone bad. So it's always a good idea to measure it or to be able to see it before you put it into a recipe. So when it comes to cracking an egg, I may have to give him a prototype and maybe do some scaffolding if he's still having a bit of trouble, but we'll definitely practice a few times to get that myelination practice going. I don't feel like there will be any problems with any interference. I don't think that there will be any schema that misrepresents itself with another one. I don't think that'll be a problem, but if it comes up, we'll definitely be sure to take care of it. He could have the undergeneralization of what is baking and what isn't. A lot of people actually have the undergeneralization that baking has to do with an oven. And in this case, it actually does. But there are a lot of things that you can make that would be considered baking that don't require an oven. And so we can talk about that if that comes up. I definitely want to use more informational language instead of control language. I feel that if I do that, he should keep his state anxiety level relatively low, so as he can stay calm and make sure he can understand what he's doing and why he's doing it. I also wanted to see how his self-efficacy and self-concept can raise by doing these tasks. I will definitely keep in close proximity to him just to make sure that nothing goes wrong, and just in case he might need, if he needs help taking the hot pan out of the oven, if he doesn't feel quite ready to take something hot out of the oven, I can be there to step in and take him out of the oven. I think that's all we need to discuss, but if you have any questions for me, just pull me aside and we can talk about them. Thanks.